He walked past him, just like everyone else did. To Mark, the old man on the park bench was simply part of the scenery, a blur in the periphery of his busy, important life. He was late, his mind buzzing with meetings and deadlines. But then he heard it, a few quiet words, spoken not to him, but to the air. "I'm waiting for my son." And something in those words, in the fragile hope they carried, made Mark's hurried footsteps falter. Our story begins, as so many do, with a man who believed he had the world all figured out. Mark was a real estate agent, a man who dealt in properties in numbers, in square footage and closing costs. His world was one of contracts and commissions, and his success was measured in sold signs and bank statements. Every day, he took a shortcut through Oakhaven Park, a beautiful, leafy space he never actually stopped to see. For Mark, the park was just a path, a means to an end. His head was always down, his eyes on his phone, his thoughts already at the office. And on a particular bench near a bubbling stone fountain sat Arthur. Arthur was a permanent fixture. His clothes, though clean, were worn. His posture was stooped, and his hands, resting on his knees, told a story of a long life of hard work. He came to the park every single day, rain or shine, at exactly 3 o'clock. Most people barely noticed him. They'd quicken their pace or look away, constructing invisible walls to avoid an uncomfortable moment. Mark was one of those people. For weeks he had passed the old man. Sometimes he'd see Arthur talking softly to the pigeons. Other times he'd just be staring at the fountain, a distant look in his cloudy blue eyes. Mark, like the others, would simply look straight ahead and walk a little faster. He told himself he was too busy, that he didn't have time to stop, that the man probably didn't want to be bothered anyway. It was a convenient story, and he believed it. But this Tuesday was different. The autumn air was crisp, and a cold wind had started to blow, scattering golden leaves across the path. As Mark hurried past the bench, his coat pulled tight, he heard Arthur's voice, clearer than ever before. It wasn't a request for money. It wasn't a mutter. It was a simple, declarative statement, filled with a profound and patient faith. "I'm waiting for my son." Narrator. The words stopped Mark in his tracks. They were so specific, so full of quiet expectation. He turned and looked at Arthur, truly looked at him. For the first time, he saw the way the man's eyes scanned the path, the hopeful tilt of his head every time someone new appeared. This wasn't just an old man killing time. He was a father, keeping a vigil. A war erupted inside Mark. His professional mind screamed at him to keep walking. "You're late. It's not your problem." He's probably confused. But a deeper, quieter part of his heart, a part he'd neglected for years, whispered back, "What if he's cold? What if he's been waiting a long time?" With a sigh that was more about his own internal conflict than the weather, Mark walked over and sat down on the far end of the bench. Arthur glanced at him, a little startled, but didn't speak. Mark, awkwardly, "Cold day for waiting." Arthur, nodding slowly, "He knows I'll be here. I never miss a day. 3 o'clock, right here by the fountain. He'll find me." Narrator. There was such unwavering certainty in Arthur's voice. Mark felt a pang of sadness. He assumed the son was a memory, a ghost of the old man's mind. He decided to play along, to offer a few minutes of company before moving on with his life. "Mark, how long has it been since you've seen him?" Arthur, a gentle smile appearing on his weathered face. "Oh, many, many years. The war, you see. He was just a boy when he left, but a mother's love and a father's promise. We told him we'd always be here. My wife, she's gone now, so it's just me, keeping the promise." Mark's heart sank. The story was even sadder than he'd imagined. Arthur was waiting for a son who had likely never returned from a war decades ago. He was a living monument to a loss so great it had frozen his life in time. Mark's initial pity began to transform into a deep, aching compassion. He looked at his watch. His meeting was in 10 minutes. He knew what he was supposed to do. But for the first time in a long time, he chose to listen to the quieter voice. "Tell me about him. Tell me about your son." And so, Arthur did. His name was Michael. He loved baseball and had a dog named Buster. He was kind-hearted, always bringing home stray animals. He'd enlisted on his 18th birthday, full of pride and a desire to see the world. As Arthur spoke, his voice gained strength. His eyes, which had seemed cloudy before, now shone with the vivid light of memory. He described the day Michael left, the way he'd waved from the train, his smile so bright it could light up the darkest room. "Arthur," he said, "don't worry, Pop. I'll be back before you know it. We'll go to a ball game." I held his mother's hand, and we waved until the train was just a speck, and we promised we'd wait for him. Narrator. Mark listened, truly listened. He forgot about his meeting. He forgot about the time. He was no longer a successful real estate agent sitting with a homeless man. He was just one human being, sharing a profound moment with another. He bought 2 hot coffees from a nearby cart and handed one to Arthur. The old man's hands trembled as he took it, his gratitude evident in his eyes. "Arthur, thank you, son. You're very kind." Narrator. The word son struck Mark deeply. He sat with Arthur for over an hour, until the sun began to dip below the horizon, painting the sky in hues of orange and purple. Arthur started to grow tired. It was clear his son wasn't coming today. "Mark, Arthur, can I help you get home?" Arthur, shaking his head, "No, I can manage, but thank you for listening. Most people, they don't have the time." Narrator. As Arthur slowly got up and shuffled away, Mark felt a strange mix of sorrow and purpose. He couldn't get the old man out of his head. The next day, at 3 o'clock, he was back at the park. He brought 2 coffees and a sandwich. Arthur's face lit up when he saw him. And so, it became a ritual. Every day, Mark would take a break from his frantic life and sit with Arthur. He learned about Arthur's life as a carpenter, about his late wife, Eleanor, and her beautiful garden. He learned that Arthur lived in a small, subsidized apartment on the other side of the park. Their daily conversations became the most meaningful part of Mark's day. But the mystery of the son, Michael, still haunted him. One afternoon, after Arthur had left, Mark went to the local library. He spent hours in the historical archives, searching through old newspaper records from the war. He found the list of soldiers from their town who were declared missing in action. And there it was. Michael Arthur Miller. Missing in action, presumed dead, 1944. Mark's eyes filled with tears. It was as he had feared. Arthur's vigil was for a ghost. He felt a profound sense of helplessness. How could you bring closure to a love so steadfast? The twist, the moment that changed everything, came the following week. Mark was helping Arthur tidy his small apartment. The old man wanted to show him a photo of Michael. He pulled a dusty, old shoebox from under his bed. As he carefully lifted the lid, filled with yellowed photographs and letters, a small, leather-bound notebook fell out. Arthur picked it up, his hands trembling more than usual. Arthur, Eleanor's diary. I could never bring myself to read it after she was gone. Narrator, he handed it to Mark, his voice a whisper. Arthur, would you? My eyes aren't so good anymore. Mark sat down and gently opened the fragile book. He read aloud Eleanor's elegant script, her words filled with love and loss. And then, he reached an entry dated just a few months after Michael was declared MIA. He read the words, and his breath caught in his throat. Mark, reading softly, the grief is a physical pain. But today, a miracle. A call from the hospital. A young soldier, they said. He has no memory, but he was found with Michael's dog tags. They are calling him John Doe, but in my heart, I know. God has brought a son back to me, not my Michael, but a boy who needs a mother as much as I need a son. We will bring him home. We will call in David, and we will love him. He is our second chance. Mark looked up, his eyes wide with shock and realization. Arthur was staring at him, tears streaming down his wrinkled cheeks. Arthur, whispering David, she never told me. She said we had to help him, that it was God's work. He was with us for a year, before his memories started to return. He remembered his name was James. He went back to his own family in another state. But for that 1 year, we had a son again. Narrator, the truth washed over Mark like a wave. Arthur wasn't waiting for his biological son. He was waiting for the son he had found, the young soldier his wife had brought into their lives, the boy they had named David. The vigil wasn't born of delusion, but of a profound, life-changing act of kindness. They had taken in a lost soul and loved him as their own. And Arthur, in his unwavering faith, kept waiting, hoping that one day, David or James would remember the kindness and find his way back to the bench by the fountain. Mark didn't know if James was still alive, or if he would ever come, but he knew one thing for certain. He put his hand on Arthur's shoulder. Mark, Arthur, from now on, you won't wait alone. I'll be here with you, every day. And he was. The daily meetings continued, but the dynamic had shifted. Mark wasn't just a kind stranger anymore. He was a friend. He was family. He helped Arthur with his groceries, fixed things around his apartment, and spent holidays with him. He had entered the park looking for a shortcut, and he had found a purpose. Arthur's lonely vigil had become a shared journey, a testament to the family we find, not just the one we are born into. One spring afternoon, a year later, as Mark and Arthur sat on their bench, a man in his 70s, with a kind, hesitant face, approached them. He held a faded photograph in his hand. The man, excuse me, I'm looking for a bench by a fountain. For an Arthur and Eleanor Miller? Narrator, Arthur looked up, and his breath hitched. The years seemed to fall away from his face. He didn't see a stranger. He saw the ghost of a young soldier he had once called son. Arthur, voice trembling with emotion. David? Narrator, the man, James, smiled, tears in his own eyes. James, it's James, sir. But for you, I can be David. And on that park bench, under the warm spring sun, a promise made decades ago was finally kept. Not by fate, not by chance, but by the relentless, patient power of a kindness that had echoed through time, connecting three souls who were never truly lost, just waiting to be found. Sometimes, the greatest miracles aren't about changing the past, but about healing the present with a love that never gives up. We so often walk past the stories waiting on park benches, too busy to hear the quiet words that could change our lives. But if we just take a moment to listen, to truly see the person in front of us, we might just find the family we've been searching for all along. Share this story if it reminded you that love and kindness are never, ever wasted.